I want to get an update from my friend Joe. He was on last week. His name is Joe Piccolo. He was in a situation, we talked about him a little bit earlier. He had some fireworks in his luggage. And when he went to the airport, he didn't realize that these fireworks were in his luggage. He wasn't being an idiot. He just threw some things inside a bag and went to the airport, not really thinking about it. When he got to the airport and went through the scanner, they pulled him aside. TSA pulled him aside, and they found these things inside of his luggage, and they want to try him with 2 felonies and give him 10 years in prison. And Joe's a pretty guy. That won't end up well. How you doing, Joe?
It could be better.
Tell me.
Me again.
No problem. Anytime. Tell me all about it, buddy. What's the update?
The update is, I was told by my lawyer a few days ago, them telling me that they want to put more charges on me, actually. And
good grief.
I'm so astounded that I don't know what to do, man. To be honest, I'm trying to just exhaust every avenue with regard to getting up these
fundraising and things like that.
Yeah, to pay for my lawyer, because I've looked into it, and with white collar federal crime, I mean these guys are paying out $250,000 in legal fees. Like, I mean, if that's the case with me, then take me away.
Oh man, that is terrible, buddy. So if there's any lawyers out there listening that really believe that they can help with this case, contact me. You can call 1-888-550-TONY. That's 1-888-550-8669. Call me sometime during the week. Leave a message if you think that you can help this guy. And we're looking for somebody that's high caliber, has the energy, understands that this is wrong, and wants to do this the correct way, and will do it for cheap or nothing would be ideal. Right, Joe?
Absolutely, man. I'm not a rich man, not by any means. I mean, you can go ahead and call me a starving musician. You know, that cliche didn't come out of anywhere. A lot of musicians are poor.
I just feel for you, buddy. Tell people about the website.
It's www.aid, as in AIDjoe.com.
www.aidjoe.com.
Yeah, it'll just give folks an insight on who I am as a person, and if they're going through the pictures and the whole story of what happened, they have 3 options for donations: 5, 10, or 20, and each one of those will actually give you access to 3 of my most recent recordings. Like I said, I'm a musician. My songs, I'm really proud of them because they represent a lot of what's good in the world, of the way things should be, and how I think they should be.
Let me interrupt you for just a second here, Joe. I had the chance. You were in town last week, and I had the chance to hang out with you, and I really enjoyed my time with you.
Me too, man.
You are a gentleman, really, and you are a good person, and I am a good judge of character. All right, I can tell when somebody is good, bad, or ugly. All right. And you're good, and you're not bad, and you're not ugly. So it's no problem, buddy. Hey, Joe, if there's anything I can do for you, you know my number, you know my personal number. Give me a call anytime you want to, and we can talk things out. Hopefully, we can get this on the right track, because it is just it's a travesty. It is absolute injustice that something like this has to happen to somebody. There's no reason for it. I don't know why they have to do it. They're making an example of you. Now, Joe, I apologize. We're going to have to go to break here. We're going to come back with Judge Jim Gray. He's going to be answering questions. He's going to be taking your calls about the vice presidential debate or anything else you want to talk about. Call 1-888-550-TONY. That's 1-888-550-8669. You're listening to Tony Style Show on the Mighty 1290. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to the Tony Styles Show. You're listening to Tony Styles, the one and only. We're talking a lot about the vice presidential debates because that's the big thing right now. And Joe Biden, in my opinion, was just was a terrible word I can't say on the air. I really was disappointed with him. I expected better out of him as a professional man, and I don't know why I expected better out of him. Honestly, I have no idea why I expected better out of him because he hasn't shown me that he can do better than that. And Paul Ryan, of course, I'm disappointed with him simply because he came off. Now, tell me if I'm wrong here. He came off very phony, didn't he? He just looked like the kind of guy that's coming to your living room to sell you something that you don't want. And that's the impression that I got of Paul Ryan. And the impression that I got from Joe Biden was that he really didn't believe he even should be there talking to this young man. Like he was way above it. What in the world? Why? Why can't we have a normal debate? You know why we can't have a normal debate? I'm going to answer my own question. This is why we can't have a normal debate. It's because we don't have the correct people in the debates. We have two parties in the debates. Two of them. Count them. 1, 2. All right? We need at least 3 parties in there so we can focus on real issues. We're going to talk to Judge Jim Gray. He is on the line right now. I want to ask him a couple questions about these debates, but I'm just going to let him give you his basic ideas and his basic philosophies and a couple of his answers. Judge Gray, welcome back to the Tony Style Show. It is always a pleasure to have you, sir.
Well, thank you, Tony. It's always good to be with good people, and you there in Omaha are right on the money.
Thank you very much. It's early where you're at, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I flew into New York from San Diego overnight.
Oh,
so,
man. Yeah.
I had the red eye. So
yeah, I bet.
Schedulers had to have us do.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a busy time.
We're not going to wake up on the 7th of November and say, I wish I would have. Both Governor Johnson and I are just working hard to get our message out as much as we can.
That is the exact right philosophy, sir. So what did you think of these debates?
You know, Tony, just like I heard you saying, you watch Vice President Biden with these kind of sheepish grins on his face, which I thought was kind of insulting and inappropriate.
It was. But if you listen to it on the radio, it sounded like he won it. It was a lot like, what was it, Nixon and Kennedy, when Nixon had his upper lip that was all sweaty? And if you would have listened to it on the radio, you would have thought Nixon would have won it. And people have compared it like this, but I thought it immediately when I started looking at Biden's reactions to things, I thought, wow, I can't believe he's doing this. How are they letting him get away with this? I mean, he was seriously an eye roll away from reality television. You know, just all he had to do was throw a chair, and we would have been right there in Jersey Shore or in the Housewives of Orange County or whatever.
Well, I commented at the time, and I was on the Internet at the same time commenting and answering the same question. I said that if Vice President Biden had done that in my courtroom, I would simply stop the session and have him be serious. I thought it was inappropriate, but you know, this isn't really something either, Tony, where the best stylish debater should win the election either. We need to talk about issues, and they really didn't so much. We went through, again, the whole thing. Now we've had one with Vice President, one with the presidents. They haven't even talked about drug prohibition. They haven't even talked about, you know, actual ideas, which they don't have any, how to create jobs. Governor Johnson and I were in these debates. We'd make them talk about issues differently. They were trying to out-macho each other, saying who'd be faster to bomb Iran, go to war with Iran.
I know. What was that about?
Well, they're trying to show how tough they are, but I'm the only of the 6 of us, as you know, that's even been in the military. You know, it's not something that you take lightly, and it's not something that you just rattle off saying, oh, well, I'd bomb Iran before you would. It's serious stuff.
Oh, it absolutely is. These kids are out there, and I said it earlier in the program, neither one of the candidates that were in the debates really wants to pull out of there. They want to tell everybody that they want to bring everybody out, but that's not the truth. They want to stay there until the opportune time comes to hit Iran.
I fear that that's right. And I was very much opposed to going into Iraq in the first place. Instead, if we put troops in Iraq, it would be the biggest mistake of my lifetime, and I stand by that. Now I'm going to have to say the same thing with regard to Iran. I mean, it's just crazy. And I'll bet you that neither one of them really knows the difference between a Sunni and a Shiite or a Kurd. I mean,
isn't that crazy?
There's nuances
wow.
in these places, and you just have to understand them. We're over our heads, Tony, and so
we really are.
I fear for our country.
Doesn't it just upset you upon no end that this is where we're at right now? That we really can't see any sort of end whatsoever to the conflict in the Middle East. There really isn't any foreseeable end to it. And they said in the debates they said, well, we don't want to give an exact date because we don't want to give them a date that they can possibly hit us, which I understand. But at the same time, we've been lied to for years now, for the past 2 elections, and now this is the 3rd one, that we're going to be out of Iraq. We're going to be out of Iraq in just in no time flat. They keep on saying it, and it's a lie. It's a flat out lie. And everybody keeps on believing it.
I give you a time right now when we'll get out of Afghanistan, and that is as soon as Governor Gary Johnson is elected.
That would be great.
It's simply inappropriate, counterproductive for us to keep our troops in Afghanistan now.
I believe so, too.
Did favor going into Afghanistan. Should have taken us 60, 90, maybe even 120 days to find the people that were caused 9/11, which was truly an act of war. We had every right to go into that. The country itself didn't do it, but they condoned it. They harbored the people, and we should have every right and did to go in there. How we botched it after that and allowing Osama bin Laden to get out, I'll never know.
And we have the best military in the world, the absolute best military in the entire world. Why couldn't have this just been like Grenada and just, we come in and boom, we just hit them and then we just get out?
Afghanistan is, of course, tribal. They hate each other. They don't get along with each other. Of course, our war on drugs now, they're also drug lords, and that's compounded the problem. But the only thing that unifies Afghanistan is a foreign invader coming in to occupy the place.
That is correct.
They get together to try to push the foreign invader out. Guess who that is today, Tony?
That's us.
We simply can't do it. And, like I said last time, and thanks again for the opportunity to talk with you, we can't afford these things. But for every dollar the federal government today is spending, we're borrowing 43 cents.
That's scary.
Or printing the money.
Oh, it's scary.
No company can do this. No household could do this and avoid bankruptcy. And neither can any country. We can't spend this money.
No, you are absolutely correct.
Of our country. It's the future for our children.
And I'm sitting here with this young lady right now, and she says she's going to vote for Obama. What would you say to her about this election? She's 19 years old. This is going to be her first time to vote, and she says she's going to vote for Obama. I believe her. She seems very intelligent. What would you say? Her name's Lindsay.
Obama has been such a failure with regard to his hope and his prayer. Unless you are wanting to receive money from the government, I cannot see how anyone would want to vote for Barack Obama. He is
funny you should say that.
Nightmare with regard to. Well, he's been a nightmare with regard to our economy. We have added $6 trillion to our economy.
I know we have $16 trillion in debt. What is that about? Nobody can do that. I don't have $16 trillion. Do you have $16 trillion, Judge Gray? You don't. I'm sure of it. Not anybody that I know, everybody that I know combined doesn't have that amount of money. And there's really no saving anything. We need to cut everything. And that sounds harsh. It really does. But we need to cut everything and really start focusing on getting rid of this debt that we have. Otherwise, we're going to be speaking Chinese, and we're all going to be living in socialism. And is that a true statement?
Governor Gary Johnson actually did that, as you know, Tony, when he was two-term governor of New Mexico and left the state, just one small state, with $1 billion surplus. Had about $10 million deficit when he took over. He said, everyone is predicting that there's going to be blood in the streets and children are going to be starving. None of that happened. We need to pare back this obese federal government that's usurping the power from the states, from the people, and they're into areas they simply should not be. So we're going to submit a balanced budget to Congress, and we've talked about this before, reducing spending by 43%.
That's important. It's imperative. It's not just important, it's imperative.
It really is. It simply must be done. And people will accept it, assuming that they believe that everyone else will share the pain, and assuming that they're acting on accurate information.
Judge Gray, we're going to take a couple calls if you don't mind. There's a gentleman named Roy on the line, and he wants to talk to you. He wants to ask you a question. Roy, are you there, buddy? Hello, Roy. Hey, how you doing, my friend?
We're there.
Go ahead. You're talking to Tony Stiles and Judge Jim Gray. What kind of question do you got for Judge Gray?
Well, Judge Gray, calling from Michigan, quite possibly the only state where we will literally feel forced to choose the lesser of two evils to make sure. How about what's going to work and all that? That's the first part of my question, if you could kind of address that. And I think you need to know that they can write you guys in and that it will be counted.
How do they write things in? Judge Gray, do you know anything about that in Michigan? How do they write things in? Is that even possible?
Yes, I believe in Michigan that you can write in Gary Johnson and James Gray. It's a tragedy that the Republicans have literally gone around the country challenging our ability to be on the ballot. And
it's just terrible.
Send this off everywhere except for Michigan, and probably, like Roy says, we're probably not going to be on the ballot in Michigan. That's the only state, probably.
All right, Judge Gray.
You can write in Gary Johnson and James Gray.
Judge Gray, thank you so much for coming on the program. We're running short of time. I have to wrap things up, but it's always a pleasure to talk to you. And you know, you're welcome back anytime. You're my favorite guest to have, sir.
Well, Tony, you're an old rascal, and I appreciate the opportunity. You say it like it is, and I really admire you. I admire your private life for the work you're doing, for philanthropic opportunities, and it's just a pleasure to be with you. So keep getting away, and we're going to wake up on the 7th of November believing that we really did a good job. We just get 5%. I know that sounds defeatist talk. Just 5% will be entitled to matching funds as Libertarians.
And boy, wouldn't that be great?
Presidential election.
That'd be very, very good.
Beginning of the end of the two-party system. It's something historic, and it's really going to work. So thanks, Tony.
You're very welcome.
Soon.
Judge Gray, always a pleasure. You're listening to Tony Stiles Show on the Mighty 1290.